no choice. When we do pre-recordings, and especially with this album, we're talking about, for most of the songs, a 10 years songwriting period. So technically, we have been finished with most of the stuff in 2008, 2009, composing wise. And ever since, we did a lot of pre-productions, and these pre-productions defined a certain style and a certain quality. And sometimes it is very difficult to match up to this demo versions you did. John, my partner in Demons and Wizards, he calls it demoitis. So most of the musicians know what I'm talking about. But there's a certain kind of truth in there, because you're so relaxed during the pre-production, so you do not think about what you're doing. And once you have accomplished that goal and you have that particular sounding, you at the very least need to match that during a production. And I'm really tough there. So I'm going up to that point, and once I've reached that point, I'm trying to deliver it a little further if possible.
And you kind of become a director, like in movies, like when you do with an orchestra, you have to know every part and kind of know everybody, where because you have a direction and everyone has to go on that direction.
Well, I would claim that fame and honor for me. I would like to claim that for me, but that is not so much my part in the whole thing. I'm in charge of all the vocals and of determine when things are good, but especially when it comes to communication with the orchestra and really being on top of the game, then it's more Charlie Bauerfeind or Andre who will take over and be in charge. But we define everything as good as we can. So in most of the cases, I have to admit, there are not that many questions. Once we start working with an orchestra, it's quite easy. But I mean, the process of finding the right people and getting them into the position we needed them, that was another 2 or 3 years during these 23 years we were working on it. There was a lot of trial and error with people and with orchestras until we really found, the setup we felt most comfortable in.
Was it tough, through the 23 years of processing, knowing that you want to do the Twilight Orchestra, Legacy of the Darklands, and writing new stuff and doing new records, because you guys released something like 5 records through that process? Was it hard to just put the project, let's not involve the 2 projects together, and those songs going to be on that record and not on the Twilight Orchestra? Was it hard to choose, or was it natural?
It was something in between. It was hard, more than really natural or relaxing, because from that very first moment on, I felt that the songs we were working on always belonged to the best of a songwriting era, no matter which album we're talking about. And so there was always that tempting moment in saying, well, why not using it for this album we're working on, and maybe involving the band and making it a little different, and then looking for another song for this orchestral album, for example. But with regard to the orchestral songs written for the orchestral album, we finally always stick to the plan. The same with regard to not involving the band. That was also very tempting at moments, and we were talking about that, and we even did attempts very early in the songwriting period to involve the band and make that a classical album but with band. But we just felt that would spoil the original intention, and so we always went back to plan A and decided not to change anything. If you're listening to a song like Dark Clouds Rising or This Storm, for example, these were the first 2 songs we have been working on back in the days. they pretty much sound like they did back then. You know, of course, the orchestration has changed a little bit, and the setup of things in general sounds a little different. But the original song and the layout is very precise even back then. So we really tried not to deny ourselves, no matter how old a song was. Of course, the newer songs, they are a little more modern, and you can feel that they are a little richer. They have a little more of, you know, whatever we have gained over the years in terms of musical skills. So a song like in the Red Dwarf's Tower or Beyond the Wall, they certainly sound different than This Storm or Dark Clouds Rising. But whenever we wrote a song, we kept that spirit of the age, and we did not deny that song, and or we gave in and delivered that to the original album, to the heavy Blind Guardian album we were working on. There's one exception where we went a sort of hybrid way, and that's Harvest of Souls. But that simply is related to the simple fact how this song was developed and how it was created, because we more or less finished the orchestral version of that one, which is Harvest of Souls. And then we turned the song aside, and a few days later, Andre came to me and he said, well, I dreamt that song with metal guitars and drums, and here it is, try to do something else with it. So I did that, and there we decided to go for both versions, so people could get an idea how different the stuff will develop once, you know, you have decided which direction to go. Another sort of, but that's more positive effect the Blind Guardian got out of the Twilight Orchestra is Wheel of Time. That would be another example. This song originally has been composed for the orchestral project, but I did not like the way it sounded back then. So I told Andre that the song would be better on a Blind Guardian album with a band, because there was so much space for a band. And yeah, this is how Wheel of Time then was created. We went back into the core songwriting and kept the essence of the orchestral songwriting, but other than that, brought in the metal band as well. And, you know, that's another hybrid, but only used on At the Edge of Time.
That's crazy. I just listened a little part of the records. Can wait to hear the whole thing. It's really good, and it's so epic. I repeat myself. But one other thing that I respect so much with Blind Guardian is you stick with the same lineup since I think 2005,
Yeah.
and most of the people band since the beginning, and it's hard to achieve. It's like having a family, and sometimes, you know, we're hard on each other.
Yeah, I mean, we are a family, and we are very much alike, no matter, you know, how different we are in the way of treating a band, in the way of treating people. Every one of us quite similar, you know. We are a very ordinary breed of people, which really prefers to be creative than, you know, standing in the limelight. That is the case for everyone in Blind Guardian, and the philosophy and the personal characters is so much alike. There is no need for changes, not at all. I mean, we all have the same quality in being musicians. We still share the same goals, and even Tom, who left the band in 2005 or 6, he insisted to leave the band, you know, because he had several problems, and we may have not agreed on everything, but we would not have fired him, for sure not. So it's very unlikely that there will be another lineup change in Blind Guardian.
That's pretty rad. I know it's an orchestral record, so when it's going to be released, what's going to happen with Blind Guardian? Is there any tour, or it's going to be day by day?
Well, Blind Guardian is essential since this is an orchestral album, so the chances for us to go on tour are very limited. But we certainly will do a few shows. But as the whole project has demanded so much time, that is pretty much the same with touring for this one. So I don't see us touring or doing any sort of concerts before the end of 2021. The time in between, we of course are going to use for Blind Guardian. We have composed a lot of songs. The basic idea is to hit the studio in January and then do the next regular Blind Guardian album. Obviously, a Blind Guardian production is also very, very time consuming. So I do not see us leaving the studio before August, September next year. But the original idea is that we hit the road somewhere in the beginning of 2021. And that is also when the regular Blind Guardian, next regular Blind Guardian release is going to be in store and to be finished.
We hope to see you in Quebec. I don't know if you remember, there's a group called Capital of Metal in Quebec, and I remember they did like they put the DVD of Blind Guardian in a cinema with tons of fans of Quebec, and I think they send you like the DVD, and you got like the Quebec fans like yelling like it was like a live show and everything. And after that, you guys came for the first time in Quebec City at La Salle Albert Rousseau. I was there. It was such surreal, and people were freaking out.
I mean, there's no doubt that there's a very special relation between Blind Guardian and Quebec in general. All the shows have been outstanding, no matter if we played in the city of Quebec or Montreal. That's always the peak part of the whole world tour, not only North America. It's easily the best tour and the best show in North America always. So I know about the passion of the people, and I always feel sorry when we stop playing shows. And I know, well, the really dedicated, die-hard Blind Guardian fans, they will have to suffer for 3 or 4 years, but it's going to be worth the wait. I mean, we really are working on a new album which contains the typical Blind Guardian stuff, and as you said, it is, even with the Blind Guardian stuff, it's going to be a new invention of the band. I mean, it's not that far off than Legacy of the Dark Lands, for example, but it is still a very demanding, a very progressive album with a lot of new ideas. And what we also want to do is presenting a great mixture of what the people really consider to be classics and a lot of new songs next time. And yeah, I can't wait to come back, that's for sure.
You were in Montreal last month with Demons and Wizard. That was cool. I heard so many great things about that show.
Well, what can I say? It's pretty much the same than with Blind Guardian. It was easily the best show in North America. It easily was, and the whole band felt so. There is a chemistry and there is a magic. I mean, of course, the size of the venue is also just beautiful. Having the exact amount of people you need, and getting such a close response because the people are so close to the stage is simply amazing. It was a very funny show. It was a very entertaining show, and as far as I remember, it also has been the longest show on the whole tour.
And you're so generous with your time. Thank you so much. You mentioned it, but Quebec, as Blind Guardian and all your project Demons and Wizard, as a place, in a special place in their heart. And we can't wait to listen to all new records, and people go grab it. Twilight Orchestra, Legacy of Darks, gonna be released on November. You have to buy it.
Thank you very much. Sorry? Hello?
And thank you.
Yeah, merci. Thank you. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I hope to come by very, very soon and see you in person.
Yeah, that will be rad. And before we leave, can you do us a quick ID? Just keep it simple. Just saying, hi, this is N from Blind Guardian, and you listen to CKRL, like the letter CKRL.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Hey, this is Hansi
whenever
from
you're
Blank.
ready.
I am ready. Hi, this is Hansi from Blind Guardian, and you're listening to CKRL. Is that correct?
Thank you. Yeah, you nailed it in one time. How professional you
Yeah.
are.
This is how metal I am. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Hans. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blast with the new record.
Eric, enjoy the rest of the day and have a blast as well. Take care.